In this video, you as a coach, consultant, or creator are going to learn about how to run a webinar funnel, how you can get them so that they can print, and the whole process that goes behind running a webinar, right? This is going to be the only training that you'll ever need to learn how to do a webinar and send everything that you'll need to be able to get one started on your own, right? If you would like to skip all of the time and effort that's needed, that's necessary to get something like this up and running, and you want to, or maybe you just want to try and figure out what it is that you need to monetize your audience, your attention that you've gotten, right? And sell your expertise, then check the description and see how you can work with me. We'll perform an audit and see how we can help you. So let's get into it. First of all, before we lean into what actually goes behind running a webinar, we need to understand what it is, the advantages, the disadvantages, because depending on your specific situation, it might not be the best for you. So advantages of running a webinar. One is that there's a lot of nurturing that happens at one point, right? Because these webinars, they're anywhere from 1.5 to 3 hours, right? Most of the time. Then the second advantage is you can directly pitch a high ticket offer at the end or book a call. You can pitch you obviously pitch low ticket also, but you can pitch up to a high ticket. I'd say probably up to about 4K, but that also really depends on who you're selling to and the amount and the actual level of awareness that your buyers are at and nurture. If you're someone who's been creating content for 5 years and you've got built up such a huge audience and you run a webinar, right, and you're also selling B2B to people who run like 6-figure businesses, right, you could probably sell it with all that nurture and pent up trust that you built over the years of documenting and giving value. You could probably sell like a 10, 15, 20K offer if you wanted to, right? But generally speaking, we're probably pitching offers up to about anywhere from 4 to 6K, right? Now, these webinars can be recurring and they can be automated if you do it correctly. It is a bit difficult to make an automated webinar. Obviously, people are gonna know if you do, you gotta do it correctly. Otherwise, people are gonna know that it's gonna be automated. And another thing is, even if you do it correctly, when you automate it, the actual return on the webinar will decrease. That's just natural though. But the benefit is you don't have to actually sit there for 1.5 to 3 hours every single time you want to run a webinar, right? It can be, at that point, it becomes evergreen and it's more leveraged in terms of your time to fulfill on using this sales generation machine, right? The last thing is that there's a possibility to run a webinar without a sales team, at the expense of lower conversions, right? Webinars, because it's just a one-time pitch, you don't actually need to have someone someone to actually close the calls. You could just put the price link on the webinar and people just click there and buy, right? So what's the drawback? One, you need to actually present for a decent bit of time. If you're someone who's not good at presenting or someone who is, I guess you could say more so camera shy or doesn't want to spend that much time, right, out of your day doing a webinar, then it's probably not for you. Second is that when you're automating, it will become less profitable. I already stated that earlier. And then lastly, you need to try and retain the audience for a long time. Retention is everything. If you can't keep a majority amount of the people on the webinar till the very end, then the webinar is not going to go well because you're going to have less people to actually pitch at the end who will then convert. But now let's go into the mechanics, right? Obviously, mid and high ticket offers to audiences coming from cold traffic. This is going to be very automation heavy, and as always, there's going to be an SOP for everything that you've got, right? And this is pretty much the standard operating procedure and of how it works. So, well, obviously, like everything, it's just a natural funnel, right? So, at the very top of the funnel, we have attention. Attention comes from two places, right? You either have paid, right, paid traffic, or you've got organic traffic. Paid traffic, that could be ads of any type, shout outs, whatever. Organic, just general Instagram posts on either like Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, whatever. Now, we are going to have a landing page, right? And on that landing page is the structure that we're going to have. It's going to be a header followed by a VSL, or we're going to two variations of structures that we could have: a header followed by a VSL, followed by a sign up button, and then a bunch of social proof case studies at the bottom. Or we have a header with a bunch of direct response copy instead of a VSL, and then a sign up button. The direct response copy is going to have information such as who you are, what people will learn on this webinar. It's pretty much just going to be a written version of the VSL, right? But it will say who you are, what people learn on this webinar, and then it'll do like a value stack of how much people would pay to get on this webinar but they're getting it for free, right? It's literally just the same thing. Just me, I would prefer VSL because I believe people are sold more when they're actually hearing you, but some people would prefer to do just straight copy, right? Anyways, with this sign up button, we're going to Zuck, aka take their email and SMS their number, right? And it's going to be important for later, right? But on this lander, from there, once they do that and we get that information, they're going to be directed to a post sign up page, right? And with that post sign up page, we're going to be, aka the thank you page, we're going to get them to a private community, right? And in this private community, there's going to be, and this private community is going to be hosted either on WhatsApp, Telegram, School, WAP, or a Facebook group. Most of the time, I see these hosted on WhatsApp or I probably see these hosted on WhatsApp most of the time. Well, either WhatsApp or School. So in there, there's going to be daily engagement, and the whole goal is to build hype and just keep spouting a bunch of social proof so that people understand who you are, like that you actually know what you're doing, and they're actually, and it keeps them primed to actually hop on the Webby, right? Another thing that people do is they actually have a this community that they do. They also have it as a VIP community, so people could have like or maybe they'll have a second community that is a like an upsell. So they'll have a free community, and then they'll have a second community which is a VIP upsell. They'll sell that for anywhere from $47 to $97. That allows them to liquidate some of the ad spend on the actual webinar. Now, in terms of the information that we got when people signed up for webinar, what are we going to do with this information, right? We are going to do a few things. One, we're going to enroll them into our email list, email and SMS list. What will this allow us to do? This will allow us to send them daily email reminders and SMS reminders of the actual webinar. But in addition to that, we're also going to be sending them sales assets. We're going to be using this email list to run retargeting ads to these people. And we're going to also redirect these people back to our organic. So this is going to be our YouTube, right? Our long form, which the sales assets may or may not also be on, on YouTube, right? But all of this is going to serve to be belief shifting, to do belief shifting. We're going to be shifting their beliefs so that it's not only said whatever it is that they're coming onto the webinar to achieve, they believe that it's not only possible, but they believe that it is probable for them to get that result through seeing you, your success, your social proof, the people you've gotten success for, and then also just handling objections that would cause them not to come onto the call. By doing this, they actually they believe it's probable for them to actually achieve the result. And if they believe that they themselves can actually achieve the results, then why wouldn't they come onto a webinar to learn from you when they know it's literally a guaranteed benefit for them? Now, the other thing we do is we have dialers that come in and they they dial and text all of these leads just to confirm that they're actually going to be attending, right? So over time, we go down the funnel to the sales conversion. So when the webinar actually, as the webinar actually starts, right, we segment people into different sections. Either we have like people who sign up and don't attend, or we have people who attend and don't buy. And there's also other different segmentations. Like those are just two main ones, but the deeper you go, there's a lot of other segmentation you do. But we have separate email and SMS sequences for them to get them to take certain desired actions. And then we also have different dialing groups, right? Different dialing scripts for different groups that we segment people into, right? Now it comes time for the actual Webby. There's going to be a specific structure and presentation that you're going to do on this Webby that's going to allow you to sell, right? The way the structure works, put simply, I'm going to say it pretty fast. You're going to start off with you're going to start with an introduction, right? The whole goal is to always keep engagement. So you're always going to be looking for interaction. Spam W's in the chat. Say what you think about this. Does this make sense? Do you understand this? You're going to do that throughout the entire thing. But you're going to start off with an introduction of yourself somewhat. You're going to state what they're going to get on this Webby, why this webinar is important. You're going to state why they should sit tight, take out a notepad, pay attention pretty much. Then you'll go through the story and then state, which pretty much comes through and highlights the problem. Then you're going to state the epiphany point, the turning point, one sentence, which if you could sum everything up in this webinar, that is going to be the one thing they should leave with. Once you say that, you're going to go through the steps to achieve your mechanism, right? You're going to go through what it is, why it's important, and how it's going to create a change for them. You do that for each of them and continue to fish for engagement as you do this. And then at the very end, you're going to go through and say, hey, you guys have done a lot and you can take this, and I'm completely confident that you can go and achieve the thing that you want to achieve. Or maybe you've given them they've achieved the result with you on that call. If it was like a walkthrough, right, tutorial, right, they've achieved this result. And you're going to point to them the next step, whether it is help from you or maybe it is help with a further problem that they have. And you're going to pretty much say, hey, and I know you guys are going to have great results, but if you pretty much you're going to offer them a fast track. You offer them this fast track of working with you. And that's the point where you pretty much do the pitch. You either pitch them to book a call with your sales team or you pitch them to direct buy. That is the end of the webinar. And by that time, you've got people are going to be buying. You're going to have the links up. You're going to keep you're going to have FAQ section after that. You're going to keep keeping people engaged. People are going to drop off automatically throughout the whole webinar, but at that point, people are actually dropping off because they're either deciding to buy or they're deciding not to buy. And then after the webinar, you're going to have specific email sequences for people who didn't buy, obviously pushing them to buy. You might hit them with lower forms of you might release the webinar for people to watch. You might turn the webinar into a VSL for people in the future and run ads to that, etc. Right? But at the end of the day, that's pretty much how you run a webinar. If you would like to understand what it would be like for you to scale your offer, if you would like to get something like this done for you to monetize your program or your audience, right, or your expertise, but you don't really know how to go about doing it, check the description to see how to work with me. We'll do an audit of your business and see what's the best path for you to take and then how we can help you best.